Good morning. Welcome to room 261. This is a short video with some selected homework answers from the synthetic division assignment. You can see on the screen here that I've got number 2 on display, and it's a cubic function. This is one of them where we tell you what the root is, or at least one of the roots, and you can see that it's 3. Therefore, I put a 3 in the box. And then I put the coefficients of 2, -9, 7, and 6 in order here. Leave some space, and then draw my line. I bring the 2 down. 2 times 3 is 6. -9 plus 6 is -3. 3 times -3 is -9. 7 plus -9 is -2. 3 times -2 is -6. 6 plus -6 is 0. This 0 is important. Remember that if the remainder is 0, that means, in fact, 3 is a root of the polynomial. Since we know that 3 is a root and we've done the division here, we can rewrite the function as the quantity of x minus 3 times the quantity of 2x squared minus 3x minus 2. 2x squared minus 3x minus 2. It's x squared, because we're dividing. So we took x into 2x cubed essentially and got 2x squared. Okay. Now, once you get to this point, if you have a quadratic, you know how to solve quadratics. In this case, it factors. You can use the quadratic formula if you're just a really big fan, but it does factor as 2x plus 1 and x minus 2. And so you can see that the 3 roots are listed here: 3, -½ and 2. I chose number 5 here for a couple of reasons. One, it doesn't have an x cubed term or an x term. Notice that I put zeros for the x cubed and the x term. I'm not sure that I had one on the other video quite like that. You got to make sure that you do that, otherwise you'll make some mistakes. I've given you 2 roots. You can see that I do the division kind of in succession here. And so when you do the division, and again, you can follow the synthetic division and double check your work, you end up with x minus 3, x plus 2, and then x squared plus x minus 6. And again, that factors, and so we have an answer, or answers, of x equals plus or minus 3 and x equals plus or minus 2. I also chose to do this a second way. Sometimes, even though it's an x to the 4th or even an x cubed, sometimes if you're a good factorer, you can just go ahead and factor from the get-go. And so you might notice that this one factors actually in a relatively easy way is x squared minus 4 and x squared minus 9. You can continue to factor it and you'll get those same 4 answers. The last one here that I chose to do was one of them where none of the roots were given to you. Okay, and so since the leading coefficient is 1 and the last coefficient is 2 or -2, we say that the possible rational roots have a numerator that is a factor of this 2 and a denominator of 1. And so the only possible rational roots on this one are plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. The other video that I made had this was like 180, and so we had a whole bunch of possible roots, but this one just has 4 possible roots. And so it makes sense maybe to try x equals 1. You substitute a 1 into the function and find out that it's 0, and so x equals 1 works. Since it's an x to the 4th function, we may as well try to find another one. And so if we tried x equals 2 and substituted a 2 into the function, we'll notice that it's not 0. Therefore, x equals 2 is not a root. But if you substitute a -1 in, which was another one of our possible roots, you'll find that if you substitute -1 in for the function, -1 is a root. And so then you can see over to the right here that I've done the synthetic division with 1 and -1 and ended up finding that, the remainders were 0. And so in a similar way to the previous questions, it all factors out nice. And the roots are x equals plus or minus 1 and then 2. Since we have 2 factors of x plus 1, we call that a double root. Hope that this video was helpful. Please ask if you have any questions.